Hi learners, I'm John. Welcome back to another video. This time we're going to learn about how to make your buttons on your board so that the contrast is high enough that you know when your mute button is pressed, it is muted. When it's unpressed, it is unmuted. It's really hard to see up here just on the button. So this is actually muted, this is unmuted, but you could barely see the contrast when it's on, when it's bright. For when it's active, it's not bright enough. You can tell from the screen up here that it's already muted on USB 1, but when you go to the button, you could barely see that it's on. So we're gonna learn how to change that so that the contrast is really big. You'll know when the button's active and when the button is inactive. It's in this video. I'll put a link up here and as well as in the description on how to properly utilize the listen button or the solo button. Otherwise, it could be dangerous because you think that, oh my gosh, everything else is not working. I'm only hearing like one thing or I'm not hearing anything at all. So go check out that video to avoid that mistake. But it's in that video that somebody brought up the fact that sometimes their solo button or the listen button, when it's on and when it's off or active and inactive, they look about the same. How do you fix that? This is what we're going to talk about today. So let's go to our menu here. Tap on the gear icon to get into your configuration page and then go to display. Tap on your display and then tap on brightness. There's these three main buttons up here. Actually, really, the first button is to turn your display auto dimness, brightness. There's a sensor on the screen that will detect the brightness so that you don't have to go turn up the display so that's brighter or turn it down when you want it to be dimmer. I usually leave it here so that I can actually control it myself. So turn on auto or turn off auto will allow you to control or have the sensor control the display brightness. But really what we want to talk about today is this button right here. Buttons, when you tap on it, you get three options. You have both inactive and active. What does it mean? Active means when you hit a button on your RØDECaster like this one right here, when I hit it, that means it's active, it's engaged. When it's active, you probably want it to be brighter so that you will at one glance know that it's activated. So let's go back up here. Really no difference here, right? It's really hard to tell whether or not it's turned on or off. Especially with the naked eye, it's even harder to tell. On the cameras, it might be a little bit easier to see. So when we go up to the menu, what we wanted to do is we want to turn up the active state. The brightness of the active state has to be brighter so that the contrast between the active and the inactive is bigger, and therefore you can tell the difference. So same thing as active, you can turn it up. You can also turn the inactive state, which is now look at the bottom of the little green C here. You can also make it brighter or you can make it dimmer. So you're changing essentially the difference between the top edge of the letter C and the bottom edge of the letter C is the contrast of when it's active and inactive. So when it's active, it's bright, inactive is dim. So when it's all the way down to 6 o'clock, that is completely dimmed, very, very low. And then both allows you to turn, now that you've set the active state and the inactive state, which is the dimness and then the brightness, now you can also change both at the same time. If you like the difference between the bright and the dim, but you want the whole thing to be dimmer, you turn both all the way to the right, or you turn both all the way to the left. So I want to show you now the difference between earlier when the contrast was very small, like the letter C is really short. It's when you don't see much contrast. But now, when I go over to this view so that you can see the button, when I press this, you should see now the mute button is now brightly lit. Same thing with the green solo button or listen button is also a lot brighter now. So That is how you change your brightness of those buttons so that your active state and inactive state is very clear. There's no doubt, no question about it. Maybe the default is not contrasty enough. You might want to go to your settings and play with that, and let me know how you like it, and let me know how much contrast you need to see the active state from the inactive state. So thank you so much for watching, and if you like more of this type of videos, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much. Bye.